Good news for those of you who can't balance your checkbook. You may be overqualified for Interplay's CD-ROM release of Buzz Aldrin's Race into Space, which gives you the chance to mangle the budget of a major government agency as you vie with the Russians to become the first country to land a man on the moon. This is not a game for the mathematically challenged. While the actual launches are the most entertaining part of this release, you can't get to that point until you engage in some serious, yuppie-type number crunching as you manage all aspects of the U.S. space program. And unlike your personal finances, where a bounced check leads only to embarrassment, people will blow up if you make poor choices in this game. In other words, if the phrase "race into space" makes you think of hot graphics and killer game action, don't even bother with this release. You don't play this game, you manage it. There's some interesting historical space footage in this package, but if you're a Generation X baby who wants and needs non-stop entertainment in your games, Buzz is pretty boring. It's important to read the manual, unfortunately, since it's not clear from simply playing the game that many of your choices require time to execute. And, like NASA, each turn represents 6 months, and many of your personnel and launch decisions take more than one turn, making it extremely important to read the instructions before you start playing. It all starts in the spring of 1957 when you're given your initial budget. It's relatively simple at the beginning since you have no choice but to dump all of your money into research and development as you start from scratch. However, as time marches on, the decisions you make become more complicated, particularly as pressure increases from both internal and external sources. While you're building your space agency, you'll have to deal with political considerations, as presidents and congressmen react angrily to any of your failures or Russian successes. Once you begin recruiting and training your astronauts, you have to deal with their fragile egos as well. These guys may be national heroes, but they'll throw a tantrum and quit if you don't pay enough attention to them. Like real life, the actions you take in this game affect your future. Success builds your prestige and coaxes tightwad congressmen to dig deeper when approving the annual budget. However, if you blow up a rocket, or 2 or 7, you'll discover just how lonely life can be at the top. Once you get a few years into this game, you'll be busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. Among the many things you must juggle at Cape Canaveral are a vehicle assembly building, an astronaut complex with a complete training facility, a research and development annex, and mission control. All of these divisions are necessary because of the countless demands on your budget: present launches, future launches, research and development, and astronaut training and recruiting. Of course, while you're trying to keep your head above water, your Russian opponent crows about his successes and, coincidentally, neglects to mention any failures. News of Russian success is aggravated by the length of time it takes for you to get through the Russian announcements. Despite being a branch of the American government, you don't have the luxury of covering up your mistakes, unlike the real NASA. Each of your turns begins with a news broadcast anchored by a character who bears a startling resemblance to the guy who used to be the most trusted newscaster in the country. This is also where you find out if the CIA has any useful information to pass along about the Soviets. When you first start playing this game, it's a good idea to keep something handy for jotting down notes. Future planning is vital if you want to do well, and it's easy to lose track of what you did last turn. The designers could have made this a little easier by including an easily accessible planning menu to let you know where you stand in your flight schedules and astronaut training. All of the flight planning needed for each flight is a pain in the buttski, but a successful mission makes it all worthwhile. Once you're in the launch mode, be sure and choose the Continue option instead of Full Play. That allows you a full view of Interplay's mission control simulation, which includes some good-looking videos, still shots, and graphs that keep you informed of flight progress. And if something does go awry and your mission was a failure, you're informed of the exact nature of the problem that ruined the launch. Unfortunately, for your peace of mind, it doesn't offer a solution, easy or otherwise, although it does show your multi-million-dollar toy bursting into a lovely ball of flame. It all ends when you, or your crafty communist counterpart, finally put a man on the moon. The winner gets a parade and worldwide acclaim, while the loser starts working on a different approach and presumably a model airplane for his next space mission. This isn't a game that demands fast reflexes, but it's interesting enough if you like thinking strategy games. Put it this way, unless you hail from a planet populated by accountants, Interplay's CD-ROM release of Buzz Aldrin's Race into Space isn't going to take you where no man has gone before.
And now for a word from our sponsors.
From the